Hi everybody, it's Andrea, and I thought I would do a quick update on what's going on with me. I had my appointment with my GP the first time in February, and I might have talked about how I seem to have overwhelmed her. And then she sent me for my referral for my neurologist, who is a neurologist I had seen in the past, so I was familiar with her. So I saw the neurologist, and the appointment went really well. I saw a resident first because I do go to an office that's part of the university, and so it's a teaching office. And the resident was really good, very thorough. And then the doctor came in, and they spent quite a bit of time with me. And I was addressing the issues I'm constantly having with the hug and the neck pain and the fact that I have shrunk 2 inches. So they took a lot of time and they really examined my back and everything. And so they were feeling all the way down my spine, and it was spastic all the way down to my tailbone, more pronounced on the right side, and that's the side where I get the horrible spasms that can feel like a heart attack. So she recommended that physical therapy might actually help alleviate some of that and might help with the neck pain as well. And so we went over all of that, and then we started talking about different medications because I am not on anything. And we did talk about Tysabri, and she does have a few patients on Gilenia. And I expressed my concerns and told her that I know a woman who got PML, and I'm just really leery of it. And she was pretty good about understanding my fears, and she was the one who had told me that they see more cases of PML in people who have done the chemotherapy type of drugs prior to having the Tysabri, like Novatrone, Cytoxan, Rituximab. The names they have for these drugs I could never pronounce prior to MS. But we both kind of agreed that until we know what is going on inside, I'm not going to make any decisions. And she agreed with that. She's like, I can't recommend anything as well until I see what's going on. So she was supposed to write me a referral for my new MRIs and a referral for my physical therapy. So a couple days ago, I had an appointment with the GP. And I thought, while I'm there, I'll find out what's going on with my referrals because I haven't seen anything yet. I haven't heard anything. And both of my doctors are in the same office, so I have one file. In all honesty, I have to be honest, I was 4 minutes late for checking in for my appointment. But I still had to wait out in the waiting room before the nurse comes and gets you and does the weight and the blood pressure and temperature and all of that stuff. And then I waited in the room for the doctor. And then she comes in, and she's like all kind of frazzled and just looks like she's just overwhelmed. And she's got all her paperwork. And then she looks at me and she's like, I'm going to have to really rush through this appointment because I have another patient. And I don't like to keep my patients waiting. Did you check in late? And I was honest. I said, well, I was 4 minutes late. And then she went on to tell me that I need to be there early. And I wanted to say, well, I get there early and I sit out there and wait forever before you see me. But I was just like, okay. And so then she's kind of looking through my file. And once again, it was just like bizarre. And then she looks at me and she's like, oh, and you're going to have to see another doctor. I'm leaving. And I was like, oh, and why are you leaving? And she's like, I don't want to be a doctor. And I was kind of like, okay. I said, well, wow, that's a lot of money down the drain. And she's like, money I can earn back, but the time, I did not expect all this time, and this is not what I expected it to be. And so now I'm just listening to her talk about how being a doctor is not what she had expected, and the amount of time that it took away from her. I was just like, okay, lady, whatever. So then she's looking through the blood tests and stuff I had, and she's looking at them, and she's like, well, this is high, this is high, this is high, but you lost some weight, so that's probably okay. And I said, so I'm guessing that the heart thing I wanted to talk to you about, I need to do with the next doctor. And she's like, oh, yes, definitely. I'm like, okay. So I spent maybe 10 minutes with her, and it was mostly about her. So I asked about my referrals, and she's like, well, what were they for, all of that. And she's looking through the file and doesn't see anything. And so now I'm getting annoyed because I had been with this group in the past, and it's not the most organized facility. Granted, there are a lot of doctors in this group, all different types. So I was a little annoyed. And she was all frazzled because she had to go check for me. And so she came back and she's like, well, I can't find anything. And I was like, okay, well, do you have a pre-authorization department I can talk to? And she's like, yeah. And so I'm like, okay, I'm going. And so then I leave, and then I realize I have to go back because she didn't give me the paperwork to check out. It was the most bizarre thing that I'd ever seen. And to be honest with you, if my copay wasn't so cheap, I would have thrown a fit. I was 4 minutes late. And shame on me. I didn't account for the traffic and all of that. But how many times do we sit there and wait? My husband even said that the insurance company ought to be reimbursed for her time. You know, what they're paying for her. So then when I'm going to check out, the little girl at the checkout thing was very nice, and I asked about my referrals. And she was supposed to call me back. She wrote it up, and she even said, did they give you paperwork when they wrote those up? Because apparently that's typical. They give you a copy of the referrals. And I was like, no. And she's like, okay. And I said, well, it was a very involved appointment. Literally, about an hour between the resident and the neuro. And so I thought, well, maybe they just forgot to give it to me and that type of thing. So she said she would check with the pre-authorization person, because I found out that in that huge group, there is only one person who does all the pre-authorization. And then I asked, I said, so if it's not in the file and it wasn't submitted, would they be notifying the doctor? And she's like, oh, yeah, because it's been a month. And I've never had a pre-auth take that long. And so I expected a call back the next day, which was yesterday, and I hadn't heard anything. And then bright and early this morning, I get a call from the MRI place. Oh, we got your orders here, and we're going to have you come in. And so I have my appointment on I think it's the 16th for a full set. And they had just received the orders yesterday. So once again, the ball was dropped. And I'm just a little bit annoyed already. I'm just not thrilled. But we'll see. I'll give him another chance. I'll see what happens. But I will bring it up with the doctor, just like I did when I saw her the first time, that I had no issue with her, but access to her was very hard. in the past. And that's why my GP at the time referred me to another neurologist, because she was outraged. So that's that. And it was just the most bizarre experience I have had in a doctor's office. So now I'm going to see what my MRIs show, and I have to make some very, very hard choices. I have to, if I have a lot more activity in my spine and all the relapses that I've had from 2008 till now have all presented with spinal cord damage. But I haven't had a full set of MRIs since 2008. So I'll see what's going on. But now I'm faced with what to do. And I'll be very honest. I'm afraid of all my options. I'm afraid of not being on anything. And my MS likes to attack my spine. I'm afraid of Tysabri and the more and more cases you're hearing about with PML. Gilenia, I know a few people on it, and so far they seem to be doing well, but it hasn't been on the market very long, and that concerns me. There's the option of doing like pulse steroids, but that's just helping, as far as I understand, keep inflammation down. And then there's the risk to your bones, and I really don't even know the extent of other long-term effects, how it affects maybe your organs and stuff like that, or your vascular system. So I'm in a quandary. She had said that I could maybe try Copaxone again, because I absolutely refuse to go on another interferon. Avonex, it just killed me, and I'm not going through anything like that again. Copaxone worked for about 4 years. I averaged a relapse every year on it, and each one got progressively worse. So for me, I just don't think that it's an option. I have tried LDN, and for me, it did not help anything, and it actually made all my symptoms much more pronounced. I know others do really well on it, but for me, it did nothing but cause more pain. I'm one of those people that it seems like whatever the side effect of a drug is, I'm going to get it. So that's where I stand. I until I see those MRIs, I'm not going to be able to really say for sure what I'm going to do. And I've been stressing over this a lot. It's just fear either way. Go on something, go on nothing, and take my chances. Having your spinal cord being affected so often is really frightening to me, and all the things that it affects. So that's where I stand. I have my MRIs on the 16th, and I will be requesting the copies of the written reports and my CD and my films. And they will have the 2008 to compare to. And so I'll see how much has changed from then till now. And that's where I'm at. Another thing I would like to really give a shout out to, for anybody who may live in the Portland area, if you are looking for a really good doctor as a GP who happens to be a DO as well, My old doctor, Rhonda Keller. How I miss this woman, I cannot even express to you. So if you're in that area and you need a good doctor, I believe she's in the Portland area. Find her. If you're in Vegas, because that's where my neurologist went to, her name is Dr. Arlen Valencia. And if you want a neurologist who is going to take time with you, explain things to you, joke around with you, she is a great neurologist, and I miss her desperately. So I had really good doctors, and hopefully the new GP I get will be better and want to be a doctor. As I said, the doctor I have now, she's a very good doctor, but access to her is very hard. She works at several different places, and I think she just has a whole hell of a lot on her plate. So for good doctors out there, this is for you, because I miss mine desperately. Okay, that's it. Signing out for now. Rambled on, as usual. Okay, love you. Bye.